Hello. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a strategy that's really helpful when you're trying to do some quick research and find out more about an organization that is giving you some information that you're considering using in academic work or just sharing in your life. And that trick is called just Add Wikipedia. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. So we're going to say that I came across this particular webpage in my searching for information about immigration. And it looks like it has some decent information, some facts and figures here that I can use potentially on sanctuary cities. But before I do, I want to make sure that I understand what the Center for Immigration Studies is, and I don't know. So this is where just Add Wikipedia comes in. And again, it's pretty much what it sounds like. So up here is what's called the omnibar. And the omnibar is where all the information about a particular web page is held, including its address. And so what we want to do is take out all of the information after the domain name of the website. So after the .org, .net, .gov, .com, whatever that is, including this backslash here. So we're going to take all of that out and just add the word Wikipedia. And what that does is that searches Wikipedia for that website. So here we are, Center for Immigration Studies. Shows up nice and at the top. And right away, the first sentence, it tells me straight up, it's an anti-immigration think tank. Okay, so that tells me something valuable about if I choose to use that information that I found on that webpage, how to use it, and perhaps gives me pause about whether or not to use it at all in my paper. This strategy works on pretty much every website, including news websites. So for instance, I have a news alert for things that come up on misinformation because that's something I'm interested in. And this happens to be a page, a news story that came up today. Now, I've never read anything on Before It's News before. I'm not familiar with it. So actually one of the first things I did was I just added Wikipedia. So again, I'm taking everything after the .com, including the backslash. I'm going to take all of that out up here in the omnibar and just add the words Wikipedia. Now, while I'm not seeing, like I did for the Center for Immigration Studies, a whole page on this particular organization on Wikipedia, evidently it shows up in lists of fake news websites. Not a good sign, right? All right, but here I am in the Wikipedia website, but I'm doing a fast check, right? I don't want to have to read all of this. So this is when I do a Control F. What that will do is that lets you search an entire web page or an entire document for whatever search term you put in there. So I'm going to do Before It's News. And here it is. It jumps right there. And this tells me that it was cited in 2016 by President Donald Trump. And also it's been described as unabashedly unhinged news sites. So, and it gives me actually some different things I can look at if I want to learn more about where that evaluation came from. That's here. All right, well, again, that's a really piece of valuable knowledge I have now to consider whether or not I want to use information from that website. Just Add Wikipedia works a lot of the time. There's occasions when it does not work. When that happens, you're going to have to use some of your other resources and other kind of Google know-how to figure out whether or not you should use a piece of information. So, for instance, this is an article that comes up when you Google cyberbullying. And so here it is, and I'm looking at this. I'm not familiar with the organization, the International Journal of Caring Sciences. That's not anything I know about. These folks are from an area of the world. I don't know a lot about the prestige of the universities in Turkey or how well credentialed these people might be. And yet this looks like just at first glance, it looks like a reliable source, right? So I'm going to just at Wikipedia. I'm going to look at the International Journal of Caring Sciences. I'm just going to put that up here and just do Wikipedia and see what happens. And unfortunately, I'm seeing a Scandinavian Journal of Caring Sciences, but that's not it. I'm seeing their website here. That doesn't necessarily tell me anything either. And a list of medical journals. Yeah, I'm not seeing a direct Wikipedia page about this. Okay, so what do? I can go back here and look at the website, and I can Google the authors, right? I can find out more about the people that wrote this. Are they credentialed to say anything about cyberbullying? Are they people I would trust? Is that information useful to me, right? The other thing I can do is go to the website for the International Journal of Caring Sciences. So let's go back here. That's our first hit. And any organization should have some kind of information about it. It should tell you why it exists and who it's for. This does that. It says it's an academic peer-reviewed open access journal. Well, that's great. But remember, we have to look at the things people tell us on their own organization's website. Take that with a grain of salt, right? The other thing I can do, though, is if I go onto their editorial board and I'm looking at who their folks are that they have listed here, I should be able to Google them and find something out about who they are, and they too should be credentialed. So if I'm coming up with information about this author, about who the editor is, and that's all checking out, that's a pretty good sign to me that this is perhaps a decent place to find information. The last thing I can do is go into Google Scholar. So that's another flavor of Google called Google Scholar. It's just scholar.google.com. And this is an arm of Google that searches just academic sources, usually just academic sources. And so I'm going to actually search, and I've done this before, obviously, for the International Journal of Caring Sciences. I'll put that in quotations so it keeps all those words together. And then I'm going to see if there's any other scholars who are using this journal as a trusted source of information. So the first thing that comes up here says 312. The cited by 312 tells me how many other scholars have used the research published here in their own research. That's a mark of trust. So 312 cited this article, 66 here, 63 here. Okay, now I'm feeling more confident that this is a journal that I can use. Every situation is going to be a little bit different in this regard. So ask people if you're kind of running into a problem or not knowing whether something is should be trusted or not. Chances are professors in your area will have a sense. A librarian will likely be able to help you. So reach out and ask somebody. But first, just add Wikipedia.